Yo, you see Ryan Russillo's Instagram story?
I'm not on Instagram.
You want me to show you?
I'm curious.
What is it about? I all the time people are sending me Instagram stories or information, and anytime I click on it, it says I have to download the app. I rarely, not always, but I rarely get to just get the Instagram story the way that you get it. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you want to download the app?
Are you going to tell people, or are you just going to keep them in the? You're going to just keep it in the shadows during the shadow show?
I do like the idea of not saying it and people going right now and learning for themselves.
Given what I know about your algo.
Oh, it's my algo, baby.
You're like, why is Russillo popping up?
So you're not going to tell people? You're just going to tease them? You're not going to tell me? You're just going to tease me? You're not going to tell me what it is?
I like the surprise for people listening. You go and you see for yourself, and then you're like, "Whoa! I'm so grateful that Zaslow told me to do that."
You should not do it at work, listener.
Really?
And do it quick because it'll probably be deleted soon.
What time did he do it?
Local?
Was he out in the middle?
4:30 a.m. Local.
So wait a minute. He's at the Super Bowl prowling the streets the way that he did that night that he ended up in a stranger's house?
I'm not doing. Come on. What are we doing?
Well, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Afford the man some grace.
But grace for what?
You know, just having a good time. It's Super Bowl week.
We've already said too much.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it.
I think we haven't said enough.
I will say, dislike him less.
I'm with Zaslow on I don't think we've said enough. Because now you're teasing the audience. And I suppose it doesn't matter because all of them can just go to Instagram and see for themselves. I assume very few of the people out there are like me, not on Instagram.
Can we get Instagram, please?
I'm now interested in Instagram when I never really have been, and I've just generally checked out on social media altogether.
I am checking our YouTube chat right now, and people are looking. People are seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of laughing face emojis in our chat.
Anyone thanking me yet?
You don't have IG? Man, I sent you such a great Novak Djokovic interview. I thought you would want to talk about it all week. No wonder. It's like one of the most introspective, amazing answers to a question ever. I'm like, all right, I guess he didn't like it.
Actually, get me that sound because I have seen the sound you're talking about, but I couldn't get it. One of the times that Instagram hasn't worked for me and you're sending me something and I'm trying to get it and can't get at it made me go find the sound. I had to go search through an assortment of Djokovic sounds in order to do it. But once I did find it, I imagine that it's like, what do you mean I'm chasing people? I don't chase anybody. They chase me, right? Like is that what the sound was?
Yeah, that's the one. And you're always like, he's chasing these monsters over there. And Djokovic is like, do you know who I am? Yeah, it was a great sound a week ago.
All right, Zaz, show Dan.
There it is.
No!
Fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air, when the chips are down and you throw a prayer, when your team is primed and on the hunt, it's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, football is back, Jack. This high is wild and out of control, and we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check down. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack.
Vasilevsky. Again, I thought that they were dead. I thought that the haunted remains or the haunting remains of the Lightning were done. They're 19-1-1 in their last 21 games. And the question I wanted to pose to you guys before we get to Giannis talk and just how unreasonably mad Zaz and Jeremy are at Giannis, like unreasonably mad, I want to present to you guys as a serious question. I know there are rivalries all throughout sports that have a ton more history than the recent one at the top of hockey. I can't believe I'm saying that, but Tampa and Florida at the top of hockey. But go ahead and name all the teams that hate each other more than these two teams hate each other. I know you've got rivalries and fan bases and everything else, but not every time they get together they want to fight and the penalty minutes are out of control and the refs can't control anything, and you get into one of these situations where the ref is stumbling all over himself trying to say all the penalties. He can't do it because there are too many of them.
Florida penalty, number 77 and number 19. Both guys have 2 minutes for interference. Number 23, number 9, and number 6 have a 10-minute misconduct. And Florida, number 42, has a 5 minutes for fighting in a game misconduct for the secondary altercation. And number 19 has 5 minutes for fighting in a game misconduct. Sorry, no game misconduct to number 19. Tampa penalties, number 90, 5 in a game for fighting. Number 38 has 5 minutes for fighting. And number 86, 37, and 59 have a 10-minute misconduct. Tampa Bay will have a 2-minute power plays.
Those two officials, Garrett Rank and TJ Luxmore, are the worst in the National Hockey League.
Plays.
And they followed the Panthers. They did the Panthers game versus Boston on Wednesday. They followed them to Tampa. Both games were terrible, and it was a shit show last night.
I don't understand why they had such a hard time with sorting out the penalties. Dan, I didn't look at the clock, but my guess was it was probably about a 20-minute delay.
Well, I want to get into this with you guys because I know the national people listening are like, get out of here. That can't be the two teams that hate each other the most in all of sports. But go ahead and give me the two you've got to rival it, because I know there are rivalries throughout sports. I'm not talking about historically. I'm not talking about fan bases hating each other. I'm talking about right now. These two teams at the top of the sport have shared the top of the sport for, what is it now?
6 years.
The last 6 years, these are the two teams. Florida's dominated Canada at hockey. Florida's taken hockey from Canada, and Tampa gave away the title begrudgingly, and now they're back. I'm going to say it again, 19-1-1 in the last 21 games. And I know that the hockey fans in this room have been walking around haunted the last few days because they're like, man, Boston's going to eliminate us or Tampa's going to eliminate us. And it's been great fun fighting these teams and getting past these teams. But go ahead and give me, not just in the hit, not just
more heated rivalry.
Yeah.
locally, the only thing I can think of is Knicks Heat ever.
Locally? Yeah,
Locally.
In the pro ranks for sure.
I think in the stands, Dolphins Jets still has a thing.
I'm not talking about stands, though. I'm talking about the players just hating each other.
Celtics, when Rondo got hurt, that one had some juice. I think right now in the league, you definitely have historical rivalries, but in terms of active hate, Calgary-Edmonton has juice. Like, those teams do not like each other.
That's history, too, though, right? Did
you see what Huberdeau did?
He delayed hip surgery just to play in that game on Wednesday, and he scored a goal.
Yeah, he scored. Vancouver-Edmonton also has some juice right now. There are some teams that don't like each other, but nothing quite like this. I mean, this spills out to the preseason.
I don't think when they're allowed to other sports, you can't do this in the middle of the game. So I don't think you're going to beat a hockey rivalry.
Can you please look up for me the number of penalty minutes that happened in the preseason? The moment they both took the ice, and then it just started being a whole bunch of fighting all over the place.
Well, and also for context, just to show you how heated this rivalry is, in that preseason game with all of those penalty minutes, Tampa Bay, they fielded it was an AHL team they had. It was not their regulars, and they did that so that they can actually fight the Panthers with no actual repercussions. Like, what other sport does that happen in?
Every single matchup that Lightning have had against the Panthers this season, they called us Scott Sabrin. Every single time. Yeah. He's a goon. Now, this is the Brendan Hagel revenge game. He scored and ended up fighting Magic Kachuk in that game.
Yeah, they fought again. They famously fought at the Four Nations, and Matty came back around for seconds there. Ottawa, Florida also randomly has
Because the brothers,
Yeah.
the Chuck
like,
brothers.
those games get really violent and messy the way that last night did.
To me, though, like last night is such a great example, and I know for us Panther fans, like last night kind of sucked, obviously, but last night is such a great example of what I love about that sport. That sport does such a great job. Those teams, and not just these two teams, but all the teams in that league, they represent the fans so well, where the fan bases who hate each other, Tampa fans, Panther fans, they hate each other. Well, guess what? These teams hate each other too. I hate the New York Knicks. I hate the Boston Celtics. Like, the players on those teams, they don't hate each other. You go to the NFL, Packers and Bears, like those fan bases, it's the longest rivalry in all of sport. Those players don't hate each other. But the moment you put on that Panther sweater and the moment you put on that Lightning sweater, you hate the other team. And you know, like, that's not a coincidence that they were all fighting last night. We knew there were going to be lots of fights because these teams hate each other. And that league, those teams in that sport represent the fan bases the way that the other sports don't, where the fans care, and guess what? So do the players.
Chris is so right, though, about how weird it is, even though it's normalized that any of this is allowed. I think I don't even have to tell you that if this happened in an NBA game, the Marines would be sent in, the Coast Guard would be sent in.
We do a live stream.
Fighter pilots would be over the game. Like, there would be the National Guard, everybody, that it would become a military event if a basketball fight broke out that was half what these fights are in hockey.
Paul Maurice got a game misconduct last night.
Wow. That never
I didn't hear that in the
happens. Coaches getting thrown out of a hockey game never happens. I can't tell you the last time I saw that.
Hatred between players. I'm trying to think, right? Because a lot of the complaints about today's player is, they help each other up. There's fraternizing. I don't like what's happening there. I'm trying to think. You're right when you say that Rondo, and this is a product of playing at the top of the sport, right? You're fighting somebody for a thing that both teams want, and Florida took it from Tampa. Tampa had it for a long time. Tampa still got some of those players who remember what it was to be champions, and they've had to watch the Panthers celebrate 2 straight seasons with what they believe is their thing. Tampa made hockey matter in Florida before the Panthers did. Tampa is a hockey town. I'd say Tampa is more of a hockey town than it is a football town because of the way that they've won and because the way that region has fallen in love with its team. Furthermore, I'd say that the Tampa Bay Lightning are the most popular thing in the history of that sports market because the Buccaneers have done so much losing.
1,000%.
It's a great hockey city.
It is incredible hockey city, and I've been to Tampa several times. All the front porches have Lightning flags. Like that is a hockey town first and foremost. It's crazy because they've won 2 Super Bowls. Tom Brady won one very recently.
The hatred, though, give me players who hate each other. Memphis and the Lakers were doing it a little bit there for a minute when Shannon Sharp was coming off of the sidelines. But that seems to be a bygone age, the players hating each other on opposing
Memphis and Golden
teams.
State in the NBA hated each other.
Yes, that's a good one.
Those were good.
But none of those end up in fights, right? And if they did back then, you would have had Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green, people who have these reputations. I'm not sure the Panthers, I mean, Kachuk's got some of this, but I'm not sure the Panthers have reputation of being hated and wanting to fight everybody. They're irritants, and they play a style of hockey that bothers people, but I don't know that everybody wants to be fighting the Panthers.
Gustav Forsling is not that kind of guy.
I've never seen him like that.
And he was on the ice just delivering body blow after body blow.
He did not want to fight. He was actually finishing
not a fighter.
off
He was getting punched with the glove on for like 30 straight seconds, it felt like.
Yeah, and then he finally
And then he like
beat down
spazzed
Moses.
out. He's like, all right.
So let's get to what it is that happened yesterday, because the reporting is that not only is Giannis not coming here, but Wendy is saying on Ja Morant not being traded, quote, I think he's got what they call in the league negative value. What that means is teams were not willing to take Ja Morant unless the Grizzlies also attached draft compensation. The Miami Heat could have had Ja Morant, it would appear, for either Jaime Jaquez or Khalil Ware. Would you guys have been satisfied if we came into work today and the trade had been Khalil Ware for Ja Morant or Jaime Jaquez for Ja Morant? It also would have taken a first-round pick and Terry Rozier's expiring contract. Yes, that's right.
A terrible trade for the Heat if they were.
Yeah,
going.
I would have been fine with
Terrible.
Jaime going.
Terrible. I don't even know that I would have. I don't think so.
You would have been excited, though?
I just think, the upside of Morant.
Because a lot of people are pointing out, right, that the Heat are the only team in the East to not make a trade. I don't think that's totally fair because it's not like you would have been happy if they got Jose Alvarado. Like a lot of teams in the East made a lot. Look, that day is what I told you it was. Like there were a couple of trades, but it was a bunch of George Hills being shopped around on trade deadline day. We didn't actually have the giant shape-shifting monster that's going to change the way a conference title odds are going to change.
We had a shape-shifting deadline in general in the 48 hours around it. Like, there were more massive trades made in the last 2 or 3 days than ever around. James Harden going to Cleveland changes the landscape of the Eastern Conference 100%.
For next season,
Toronto not doing anything. Zubac
for Indiana next
100%.
season.
He's better than Miles Turner.
Oh yeah, there were massive moves.
That is a hugely impactful.
They gave
move.
up. They gave up a lot for him too.
Yeah,
Did
that's
see?
a big deal. And the Clippers are full on starting a rebuild while still keeping Kawhi Leonard there, which interesting.
It's a good guy to build around.
Well, there's some future things probably happening there as to why they would want to rebuild, but they were able to do it by acquiring guys in Mathurin and Darius Garland. Like there were some interesting trades made yesterday, but it is more about the trades that weren't made.
Dan, you think you know we spoke to Rachel Nichols about this yesterday, and she really echoed what everyone else was saying about Ja Morant, and that there is just no demand. And considering they didn't move him, and they're a team that's clearly rebuilding, it would. I would be convinced as well that there was no demand. Like, you believe that Memphis was asking for Khalil Ware and a first-round pick when there was no demand? I don't think I believe that.
Okay, well, that's what the reporting is, and I want to cover some of this with you guys. So here is, in terms of what it is that the Heat front office faces in terms of what I believe is fair criticism. When they have missed, the players are named Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Ja Morant.
Have any of them won anything since they missed?
Well, hold on a second.
Let Dan cook.
Hold on a second, defensive
Before you
guy.
start propagandizing,
Jumping
all right?
right in there.
Just saying.
Yeah, I know, but we could have waited
that's the
for you to
problem.
just say it a little bit later once I got it off the ground.
Learn from my mistakes.
I'm going to say it again because there are a lot of things here and contracts here and injuries here that if the Heat got stuck with Westbrook, if they got stuck with Beal, if they got stuck with Lillard, I think Heat fans wouldn't be happy with those contracts and those players. If they got Kyrie Irving, I think they'd be happy. Kevin Durant, I think they'd be happy. Donovan Mitchell, I think they'd be happy. James Harden, I think they'd be happy because he plays all the time. Chris Paul, oddly enough, I think they would be happy. DeRozan, meh. But they right in the middle. And Ja Morant, I just heard you guys say, like, this is one of the big stunners of my sports lifetime. I know Rachel told us yesterday during the live stream, well, we've seen players before go in a couple of years in their prime this young from face of the league possibly to discount bin have no value. But I don't have a lot of recollection of both injury and attitude. Yeah, Ben Simmons here and there, but I don't have a lot of recollection of somebody having the particular descent that Ja Morant has had over the last couple of years.
May I speak to a general earned arrogance that the organization and Heat fans also have? And all those names and all those superstars that didn't work out, you're talking about a Miami Heat franchise that also acquired Kyle Lowry and made the finals with that bad contract. I think you can make an argument for damn near every single one of those guys. Like, yeah, I know how it ended up working out on those other destinations for those players. I think it would have worked out differently in a lot of those cases here in Miami.
Okay, so you guys have known that I have loved the Clippers for the last few years and thought that they could win a championship if they didn't have James Harden screwing some things up in Game 7s, okay? It is unfair to say the Heat have done nothing because they got an all-star for nothing in Norm Powell. Like, that's not
fair.
Like, you cannot show me a whole lot of trades in the league where people get an all-star for nothing. But When Norm Powell is your fourth best player, you can win the championship. When Norm Powell is your best player, you're what the Heat have been this year. You're going to be a team that's a play-in team, and so we all understand that the game has to be getting somebody who's better than Norm Powell so that you can allow your other all-stars, Bam and Norm Powell, to be complementary pieces. But I thought that Clippers team with Norm Powell as the fourth best player, I really did think that was a team that could win a championship.
So Barry Jackson put out, correct me if I'm wrong, Zaz, that the Miami Heat had internal discussions, kind of lengthy, and decided that they weren't going to pursue Ja Morant. And Barry Jackson says the Heat like their squad to potentially make noise in the playoffs. Yeah. They're not going to make noise in the playoffs, and this is part of the problem.
That's their general attitude.
This is part of the problem, and yeah, I know it was a less than 1% chance that they'd end up with a number one pick, but that pick did end up going to Dallas, and it did end up turning into the number one pick.
Yeah, but that pick ended up with the Heat in the finals, too, because they got from the play-in round to the finals. Like, the reason they think that way is at least in part because they did it by
beating... That was the Wemby year. That was the Wembyana. I'm talking about last year where their big prize for making it to the playoffs was getting swept out of the first round in an historic clip. So, all right, we're not going to get Ja. We're not going to get Giannis. We're going to keep our powder dry for June. Well, all the other teams in the Giannis sweepstakes maneuvered, many of them accrued assets to put themselves in better position. This is a team that is going nowhere. No one thinks this is a team that is going to make a deep run in the Eastern Conference. So, why aren't you getting more assets? Why aren't you getting rid of Andrew Wiggins? Why aren't you flipping Terry Rozier for something? Why aren't you getting more draft picks? Why aren't you getting some young players that you think can work at a nice contract around superstars in the future? Where is the vision?
That's the part that's a little bit tough to swallow with the Rozier and the Wiggins contracts. Like, they now can't use them. They're just going to walk in the offseason. The Heat are getting nothing in return, which, by the way, we've seen several times over the last few years with guys like Max Strus.
The explanation for that is very simple. At this point in Pat Riley's life, he wants to win every game. And you don't have to like that. I understand why you wouldn't like that, but he wants to win the next game, and that may be short-sighted. It may be the opposite of vision. Can you guys find out for me why powder is kept dry? Because I don't actually know why powder is kept. Like, I know powder has to be dry, but do you use powder and then you wet it? Like,
no, you can't wet the powder because then it doesn't work anymore.
So you keep your powder dry because as soon as it gets wet, when would powder get wet?
Well, like think about the old Looney Tunes cartoons where there's like a trail of dynamite powder and someone lights a spark. What gets rid of fire? Water. You want to keep that powder dry, Dan.
Okay. Didn't know where that expression came from.
If there's a fire, you put water on, it goes away.
That part I knew. I just didn't know why.
If you have a flammable powder, you put water on it ceases being flammable.
Unless it's a grease fire.
We're not talking about grease fires.
Correction.
No, it's not.
Grease fires can be really dangerous.
It is. I mean, he mentioned fire, and you put one on fire.
Just wanted to talk about grease fires. It's not an important correction.
All of a sudden, we're telling people put water on a fire. They have a grease fire.
You can't put that. No, it gets worse. It gets worse.
That's what we're trying to.
You guys are having a different conversation.
Well, we're having a conversation about a grease fire instead of a
don't want to paint with a broad brush.
Regular fire.
Did you just felt like doing a PSA?
The conversation is advanced.
Smokey the Bear.
Look, somebody's going to be thanking us later in life if they get a grease fire, and in that moment of great panic, they're like, wait a minute, the guy, Roy, I remember Roy saying, don't throw water on this. Yeah, it'll make it worse.
That's why use baking soda.
I have a fire extinguisher. You don't want to do water in the kitchen.
You ever think about getting that blanket that they advertise, like that infomercial?
I have thought about it. Yeah, I have thought about it.
That's all you guys have done is thought about it?
Well, I haven't purchased it.
Right. So basically all you've done is watched a commercial.
It's under consideration.
Now we're all going to get that ad.
Dan, I'm just answering the questions.
Algorithm.
Well, this bothers me. Like, are we going to get that ad?
We are.
How is anybody listening to this okay with the idea that your devices are listening to you?
I'm telling you, the other day, I just thought about a product. Yeah. I'm telling you, I didn't say it to anyone. Yep. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, I almost just threw my phone.
It's that 5G.
I'm telling you, I just, all by myself, thought about a product. 10 minutes later, see it on my Instagram.
I hate billionaires.
I mean,
they're terrible.
These robber barons. Like, it's not enough, by the way. It's not enough for them to screw everybody and have everything. Now they got to screw kids, too, with everything you're reading in the Epstein files. Like, it's unbelievable.
Why are these names redacted? Why are we protecting these people? Like, all this stuff comes out, and the most powerful person on the planet is like, I don't know how Maxwell got a puppy. What?
Jeremy, your anger, I'm not used to seeing you this way. I want to get to Doc Rivers here. They're mad at Shams in Milwaukee, evidently. They're taking a victory lap with their 18-win team because Giannis is staying in Milwaukee. Can we get the sound, please, of Doc Rivers pissing you guys off by saying that Shams is somebody who is in his sight line?
You guys want a Giannis update? All right, okay. Oh, no, I was just talking about, he's going to coach the celebrity game, right? You guys see that? No, he did inform me that he's going to put Shams on the trading block today, and he's just going to listen to offers. So I'm just going to go make that announcement right now.
Good one, Doc.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
He should be embarrassed, Doc Rivers. I mean, the season forget the season. The 2+ years that he's had since the Bucks hired him and fired 30-13 Adrian Griffin, and he's a jokester.
Coached them into the ground with one of the greatest players in the league.
Who wants out? With an immortal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who wants out, who refuses to demand it, who
now he's doing the I'm staying.
I'm never effing leaving. It's ridiculous. This tweet where he says legends don't chase, they attract.
That's a bar.
Who has he attracted? Kevin Porter Jr.?
Lillard.
This is outlandish.
He broke Jeremy.
No, this type of, you know where that tweet could have been? 2 weeks ago, rather than this dog and pony show where Giannis and his agent are absolutely sending people out there to try to influence the narrative, to try to make it so that Bucks fans aren't pissed off. Hey, I want a trade request. I deserve a trade request, but I'm not going to make it publicly. I love Milwaukee. He's constantly doing this, and yet it feels like every year for the last several years we go through this same cycle of Shams Charania saying, oh, Giannis wants out, and they're going to have discussions so that they can have 2.5 weeks of conversation on ESPN where Shams doesn't update any of the information from the very first thing that he said. It's, oh, here are the 4 teams, and then nothing changes, and he says there are counter offers, but there are no counter offers because now he's showing up and saying, oh, the Bucks say they were never serious, and they wanted 6 first-round picks. Hey, you know where that information would have been useful? Before the trade didn't happen. Shams doesn't know anything that's happening before it happens. It releases a PR statement from the agent or the team that tells you that the trade has finally happened. Did he warn us about James Harden? Did he warn us about Ivica Zubac? Did he warn us about any of the trades that were going to happen? No. He told you after they already happened. And the Giannis thing, he gave you a bunch of information, and guess what happened? Absolutely nothing over the course of several weeks for Chris Haynes to now say, well, Giannis never wanted to leave. He's happy in Milwaukee. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous exercise that we're doing over and over and over again. I feel insane.
Okay, I'm going to need you to just basically calm down and just...
No, I get it.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, rambling.
Just go and cool off and take care of yourself because you're not necessarily being unreasonable, but you're very, very emotional. The dog and pony show needs to be extinct, right? I know there's a Westminster dog show, but those don't have ponies. There's no such thing anymore as a dog and pony show, right? That's no longer something that you can go anywhere in the world and see a dog and pony show, correct?
There are places.
Amsterdam.
Guadalajara.
Do you know that the Miami Heat, Mike, Barry Jackson has put this out to the anger that you guys are talking about? They have 10 commandments. You guys aren't going to like them.
What did they tell him to say?
Number 1, never trade good players for future draft picks. Number 2, never give up on a season. Number 3, do not accept taking a step back with the hope that it could lead to better days ahead. Number 4, go all in for an all-time great player, but be very selective about pursuing other good players. Number 5, do not make a trade simply for the sake of making a trade. Number 6, do not give up on a roster prematurely. Number 7, don't try to sell high on players. Number 8, Bam Adebayo is essentially untouchable. Number 9, maintain roster payrolls flexibility if possible. Number 10, don't worry about losing a free agent for nothing.
Yeah, all right. They're always in the playing with the Hawks and Bulls.
But the things you guys are complaining about go against their core principles as just released as commandments by Barry Jackson.
I get it. It's not working.
Number 8 was odd.
It's not working.
What was number 8 again?
Bam Adebayo is essentially untouchable. It is weird to have in the it's just as weird as if I found it in the actual 10 Commandments. I'd be like, wait a minute, what does this mean? Why
this one doesn't fit with the others.
This is not historic.
This is just a take.
This is not philosophical. This is just the guy who's on the roster now.
Look, they very much feel, rightfully so, that they know better than me. And they think that their course
Who knows
of action,
better?
Like, that's all right, cool. I think I've accurately predicted their seasons over the last 3 years better than they have.
Not the one that didn't end in the first round against Giannis that got to the finals with Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Did,
no, I
wanted
Wemby. I wanted Wemby. Also, treetop view on that. I still might be right, even though but beating the Celtics was awesome.
Wembanyama, what's he ever done?
Well, but they could have had Cooper Flagg too, right? If
they didn't win the play-in for the esteemed privilege of getting the doors blown off of them in the first round.
I don't like that argument. The Mavs had that pick, not the Heat. Like, to say that the Heat would have then gotten Cooper Flagg.
Okay. I just know that in that sport, there are ways to get better, and it's usually not just treading water. In fact, their own core principles, their 10 commandments, there was one time they did give up on a season. There was a couple times they gave up on a season. One of them netted Dwayne Wade. The other one netted Michael Beasley. So I can understand why there's some PTSD there, but 3 banners are up there, and it's because you guys decided to take a step back and give up on a season.
Let me put in front of you again those names just to see. You regret not going after Kyrie Irving?
No.
Yeah, at the time, that one was probably the one that made the least sense, and it was a huge gamble. I understand everything, especially with Mickey, but Kyrie would have helped.
Before or after he linked to the documentary?
Yeah.
It was after.
Yeah, now I understand why they didn't, and I wasn't pounding the table to say go get Kyrie, but it is yet another name in terms of like a player that could have helped.
But even on that one, you and Zaz don't agree. So let me go through all of them here. Bradley Beal.
Don't regret.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard.
I regret.
Regret.
You do both regret.
Yeah,
that,
I regret. There was a lot of stuff going on in Damian Lillard's personal life.
May have worked here.
He showed up fat. I think it would have worked.
Yeah, just because it didn't work on that team, that has nothing to do with the
So
Heat.
wait a minute. You guys think they could have protected him from injury here?
We don't know.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Okay. Because I think they dodged a bullet there, but okay. James Harden.
I think it certainly would have helped. We were talking about Tyler Hero for James Harden.
Wait a minute. Zaz doesn't agree with that one
Yeah,
either.
I'm a no on that
For
one.
Hero,
I don't
they play the
regret it.
same amount of defense.
I'm not the biggest James Harden fan, but I think he's better than Tyler Hero.
But wait a minute. I'm not getting even consensus on some I thought were easy. Durant, I'm going to get consensus on. You both wanted Durant, correct?
Durant 3X.
Yeah.
3 times.
Any of the times.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I was a no at the time, but that was obviously
Russell
wrong.
Westbrook?
I ended up being an all-star for Houston
That would have
year.
been fun.
The year that Russell Westbrook, he had one great year left in him, and he ended up having that.
That's a hard no for me on Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I'm a no.
All right. I do believe he was an all-star that year.
DeRozan?
No.
I think DeRozan could have helped.
I'm with Dan. Meh.
He could have helped.
And then Ja Morant.
No.
Ja Morant cheap.
For Jaime Jaquez.
Ja Morant cheap interests me.
Yeah,
it's not just Jaquez. It's Jaquez, a first-round pick, and that Rozier contract has value and gives you flexibility in the offseason. It doesn't necessarily take you that trade out of getting Giannis, but it might not be Ja and Giannis if you trade too many things that have value for Ja.
Is it important to note that every time that Miami didn't end up acquiring the illustrious list of names, the argument against it was we get to keep our assets to go get the next one, and they don't.
This is the one time they actually have had good young players. We've been making these arguments in years past where it was just Tyler Hero and a whole bunch of other random pieces, whether it was Kendrick Nunn, whose name was evoked before the show. Like, these are real valuable young pieces. Jaime Jaquez is a 24-year-old six-man of the year candidate. Like, that's a very good young player. Kalel Ware, we've talked about ad nauseum of what his ceiling is. Asking for that, plus the expiring money, plus a first-round pick, because that's not just one asset for a future deal. That's multiple assets and clogging up your books for next year, where at the moment, even if Andrew Wiggins opts in, which actually you may want because then that's a tradable $30 million contract, you'll have $60 million in cap room coming up this offseason. That's not just for signing free agents. That's for having all of your assets and being able to bring in a lot of money. Norman Powell expiring as a contract could be a sign and trade or could be extended, depending on what else you move. They may not have positioned themselves by acquiring any more assets for those players this February, but all of the guys they didn't move will still be able to be a part of what's going on into next year, outside of maybe Terry Rozier, because he could be, suspended from the league forever.
Zaslow, have you heard or watched Nothing Personal? Are you aware of what Matthew Koka does for Nothing Personal and how he routinely makes it better?
Yeah, he runs the show.
Yes, he's the producer for David Sampson, and he does an exceptional job. They have an incredibly streamlined show that does very difficult things that not a whole lot of people are doing, and we've never played Matthew Koka talking on our show, so let's do that now, shall we, to celebrate one of the great producers at Meadowlark Media, because Matthew Koka is truly exceptional.
Social media has done this, right? And YouTube does this, and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. You got this. I can't even. No, I lost it right there. I watched
incentivizes, and now my guess is you can't finish your thought.
No, I can finish it. Incentivizes stealing and stolen content.
Look at how Chris Cody's laughing. Chris, I heard the read you submitted to Cynthia yesterday. I heard how much editing that you reading these ads requires.
I was in the room.
You shouldn't be laughing at anybody about this.
Oh, please, Zaz, yours was bad too.
Well, I do all of my reads one take. Send it in.
You kept stumbling and just not even.
That was nothing. That was child's play. I think I had like one slip up in that one. I can show you some doozies.
Do me a favor. Find the sound of me doing matriculate and getting stuck. Also find the sound of that time we heard you in another room reading and you didn't know that we were listening to you and we played.
How did this
that
go
sound.
on me?
Because of the amount you were laughing. Mike was pointing at how much you were enjoying Koka stumbling on that because it was somebody other than you. Like Mike.
We love that around here.
Mike was yeah, but you particularly loved laughing at the first time Koka's ever had a soundbite on this show. So start over. I want you to start over before you look at everything. Play again just the Koka getting stuck. That is a tough word. This happened. This has happened to me.
Incentivized. Not that tough.
This has happened
Linoleum
to me.
got me one time bad. This was 10 years ago, and I've never made a mistake since. But linoleum, woo!
Go ahead and play
Nobody
Koka.
dig up that tape.
Koka again on Nothing Personal.
Social media has done this, right? And YouTube does this, and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. You got this. I can't even. No, I lost it right there. I watched
incentivizes, and now my guess is you can't finish your thought.
No, I can finish it. Incentivizes stealing. And
I was in the room yesterday when Chris is doing this, and it's not even like when he screws up the word. It really took me aback. It's not even like when he screws up the word, then he then starts over. No. He's laying down like multiple tracks.
It's called a pickup.
And then sends it in, and it's really just like the person on the other end, like, piece it together.
No, I feel bad for Cynthia.
Piece it
When I
together.
heard you doing that, I felt bad at the amount of editing that was going to require. Regardless, play the sound of me stumbling, short-circuiting on the word matriculate. Matriculate the ball down the field. That is unbelievable. That is a scratched record is what that is. Do you have the sound or are you having difficulty finding the sound?
First, I want to find the one I did yesterday because I didn't think you guys are overselling how bad it was. But no, I have you do a matriculate. We were efforting to find me messing up the Sheets and Giggles reads.
you were in another room and we were watching you and you didn't know that we were watching you, and you were just you were cursing at yourself because you were struggling so much to read it. You were by yourself in a room and you were mad at yourself and punishing yourself, and you wonder why it is that Mike points at the back of your head while that coca sound is playing and just laughs at the amount you're enjoying.
I'm trying to build up nothing personal. We are building up nothing personal.
We're trying to tear it down is what we're doing.
No,
we're not
that is
building
people are going right now. They're like, I got to go check this
They're
out.
going to Russillo's Instagram.
Folks.
Of talking faster than I ever had in my entire life, which I wasn't even conscious of. So yeah, it hit me very hard.
All right.
Enjoyable though. I have no idea what I ordered for my main course.
3 or 4 though, man.
Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't do cocaine?
No, they were they were edible.
I've never had
cookies.
someone really high and be like, "This, you shut up, dude."
I know. Believe me, that was new to me too. Because normally you're talking like a 1970s, rock DJ.
Or is it possible that life had slowed down so much for your wife that by comparison,
it seemed like you were
were talking normally, but to her you were talking at an incredibly fast rate of speed?
That's possible. That's a possibility.
Oh my God!
Did the waiter walk up and you're like, "I ate edibles," because you're just like terrified?
No. Believe me,
it's legal here. I'm on vacation.
Believe me, I'm sure he sensed it. Working in that state and seeing somebody in that state, I'm sure he sensed something.
How much was the bill that night?
Oh gosh, I think we ordered a nice bottle of wine, which always jacks it up. So I think it was like a $400 bill.
I mean, you were hammered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
4 cookies and a bottle of wine.
Oh, my God.
Probably like
Jesus
7
Christ.
Miller Lights.
Right. Exactly. And that was at the restaurant. But seriously, no, it was a nice time. I love Colorado. I really do.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the whole the scenery, the vibe of it.
Mhm.
We went to the Red Rocks Amphitheater just to walk around because it's such a stunning venue. It's a tourist attraction in and of itself. So.
Red Rocks is my favorite venue of all time.
It's
of all the places I've seen the Dead, that and Shoreline Amphitheater.
Supposedly, it's one of the great venues. All the musicians rave about it, like the acoustics and the background and the seating arrangement. It's just beautiful. I would love to see somebody perform there. I never have.
Mike loves music. Have you ever been to Red Rocks?
I have not.
I would highly suggest that you get out there at least once in your life.
Yeah, I'm getting
It's
to
worth it.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right show.
Everyone wants a service dog with Steve-O.
We are joined by a very famous persona from America, and also Steve-O, because Wendy from Peru is an internet sensation. Go ahead and tell the story, Steve-O, before we get in here. And always thank you for making time for us. But tell us why it is that your dog is more famous than you are, because I didn't think it was allowed that you can just find a dog on the streets of Peru, fall in love with it, and then just...
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I don't know about the rest of you, but right about when Army Navy start playing in football, I get sad because football will soon end, and it's one Saturday, one game, and usually it's going to end. And we now, on Friday, are almost done with football for the season. We talk a ton about football around here. Was that the haunting Dick Hammer sound again? I feel like I heard the haunting Dick Hammer sound again.
I didn't hear it.
You still feel that way around Army Navy? That used to be the case. I was at the national championship game. I'm like, man, I haven't seen Notre Dame in 2 months.
Yeah, it just sort of warns me, okay? It's all about to end. It's just a bit of a warning, and then that one game is there by itself. Navy actually had a great season this year. It's not actually about the football. It's every year, I know it's all about to be over. And this is the last game that we've got. And we talk so much about football around here. But I don't think, for example, for all we talk about it around here, that we actually know how to do some of the measurements. For example, okay, on defense, okay, do any of you know even what DVOA stands for? Like, just as one example, and I'm not saying that this is the best example, because I think most people don't know what it stands for, but it is a metric being used to measure defenses, and it's the metric being used to say that Seattle's defense is better than Houston's defense and Denver's defense, when I don't happen to think that it is. And one of the reasons I don't happen to think that it is that my measurement system is more imperfect than DVOA. And my measurement system is like, well, I remember what Baker Mayfield did to that defense when he went to Seattle. Like, I remember when he did the out-gunslinger thing with Sam Darnold. But I'm going to take from the way that you guys all moved away from the microphones that no one knows that it's defense-adjusted value over average.
I do. I'm just waiting for Chris to chime in.
Okay, so the measurement system of defenses, to me, if I ask America right now, hey, do you think Seattle's defense was better than Houston's or Denver's? Because you saw what Houston's and Denver's did in weather to Drake May. And I just think that Drake May might be about to show everybody in the country that that defense is not as good as you think it is, even though the metrics say that it is, because it is susceptible to the scramble and it is susceptible to the deep play. I saw what Baker Mayfield did to them when the play collapses. I still think the Houston defense and Denver defenses are better because they get pressure with 4. But you can't run against Seattle. So what's the answer to my questions as when I ask you, do you think that America knows and believes that that Seattle defense is the best in the sport?
I think they believe it's the best in the sport. Yeah.
Do you? Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. And I know, you can go back to the NFC Championship game and what the Rams were able to do. I think that's more about the guy that won the MVP award last night, And I understand Drake May was actually just 1 vote shy of winning the MVP, but it's not exactly like the Patriots have been, scoring this postseason. They played great defenses, and I think this one's the best of them.
Yeah, so I don't, and the reason I don't is because Denver's front four pass rush is historic, and I saw what Houston did to them and whether that wasn't that inconvenient, and Houston's defense, to me, was the best one I saw after the first 4 or 5 games of the season. But Mina Kimes, to the point that you were making about Stafford won the MVP. He won it by 1 vote over Drake May. Somebody voted for Justin Herbert. A voter voted for Justin Herbert, and that could have cost Drake May the MVP of the league. And the logic of that voter was simple. He's like, Justin Herbert played behind the worst offensive line in the league. You saw what happened when Stafford had 2/5 of his offensive line out. He became a turnover machine, the MVP of the league. That was the voters' logic. But Orlovsky and Mina were going back and forth. Let's not get to the sound of them going back and forth. Mina votes, and she voted for Drake May. Let's hear her explanation.
I'm a voter, and I voted for Drake May. And I'm right. First of all, let's remind folks, this is a regular season award. We cast our votes after Week 18. Nothing that's happened since then should be applicable to that. Over the course of the regular season, for me, I look at 2 things, dominance and then value. From a dominance perspective, Drake May was better than Matthew Stafford in just about every meaningful statistic. QBR, EPA per dropback, success rate. He had the highest completion percentage in the NFL. He was first in all of those, despite having a high average depth of target. On top of that, he was a more efficient quarterback. He also brought an element with his rushing that you just don't get from Matthew Stafford, obviously. Then I look at value. Drake May during the regular season, I know we were watching this Patriots defense, and they look great in the postseason. They were not great during the regular season. 23rd in DVOA. The run game, 21st. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford, the Rams defense, top 5 in DVOA, best run game in football. Finally, I like the Patriots receivers. They ain't Puka Nacua. So when you look at who carried their team more, who did more with less from a value perspective, in addition to the statistical dominance, to me, it is clearly Drake May.
Orlovsky wasn't having it. And again, Stafford won by a vote and then announced he'll be back next year during his acceptance speech. Let's get Mina and Orlovsky going back and forth.
This is my biggest pushback to you, and this is where you lose it. You can't, on one hand, talk about the numerical advantage or the statistical advantage that Drake May has on some of the things that you reference, and then not talk about the schedule.
I just did. I talked about the schedule. If you look at the defenses,
Mina, the top-ranked defense New England played against was Buffalo at 12.
Statistically,
yes,
I am telling you, New England's a slate of defenses they faced. If you look at EPA per play, not much easier than the Patriots.
But
and
easier.
In common opponents, Drake May was the better. Slightly easier.
Common opponents?
Not,
what is that? Common
they both
opponent?
played the NFC South. You can look at the 6 teams that they both played, put up their stats side by side, and Drake May was better against those
that's
teams.
Over the court, like this game.
So they got into it, yes. And look, I just leave Orlovsky frozen there. Just show that clip right there that's in front of me right now. That's Ryan Clark trying to move away from the sparks and the tension, and that is Orlovsky doing a very clear jiu-jitsu. That is a karate chop that he is giving the good people. Your thoughts here are what, Zaz?
Well, my thoughts are Mina obviously was better equipped for that argument, but I think she loses people, Mina, even though she may be right when she's throwing out EPA. That audience, I don't think that audience that audience is not as educated as she is when it comes to football terms. So she could say things like EPA.
I disagree, actually.
You think the audience for that show?
I believe that Mina has at least in part taught that audience to be better about how
First
it
Takes
consumes
audience?
that. Oh, was that First Take? I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. I thought they were doing NFL Live just because I saw Ryan Clark, Orlovsky, and I saw Mina.
No, Shay and Stephen A. That was First Take.
But even with that said, I think the general football audience has started, if you're a really passionate football fan that's tuned in for that conversation, you're starting to understand some of those stats the same way that baseball shifted to people understanding WAR or OPS over the last 5 to 10 years. It's a similar thing here. I'm not a big football guy, so I don't dive into DVOA, but using those statistics, I think, is a valuable piece of an argument to a general football audience.
It's been wonderful, actually, to see over the last 10 years, the sports fan is smarter than he or she has ever been by miles, because there are so many people out there genuinely curious about doing the measurements better. So it's not just what I did there with my analysis, where I'm like, Seattle's not the best defense. I saw what Baker did to them in one game in Seattle when Tampa went up there and won 38-35 or whatever it was. They're using better numbers to do the measurements. It's why Mike has accused me of having an existential nihilistic feeling about sports recently, because I'm saying that we're not doing this to actually have the best measurement or the best team. We're just doing it to collect the money from the televisions.
Let's try to work in pressure with 4 once more.
See, again, the reason that I'm going to continue to argue with my inner monologue is because it has ceased to be my inner monologue, and you are using the voice in my head to just give me thoughts of yours. Like, that's not good ideas. That's not a thought, but that's not a thought of mine.
No,
I'm not having a thought of mine of pressure with four. The inner monologue has to be my voice, and if you want me to stop arguing with the inner monologue, you need to stop putting in your secret thoughts in there.
Pressure with 4. Think about it.
The thing that I wanted to put in front of you about Sam Darnold that I think a lot of people aren't noticing, and I do think it's interesting that he's chosen this path. How rare is it for a guy to get to the Super Bowl, be someone who has been discarded by 4 teams, and he doesn't do any of the, I had so many doubters, all of these people hated me, these people thought I couldn't do it. He's not doing any of that. He's at every turn doing some form of, I learned a bunch in every stop, and it's just rare. Usually there's a chip on your shoulder and you take the victory lap, because how good does it have to be to Sam Darnold to be in front of all those cameras right now, vindicated and validated? He's got one more to go, but but to this point, he hasn't done. And look, I know, Zaslow, you're looking at me as if, like, yeah, give him one more game.
He might be saving it.
Yeah, he might be saving it, but most guys in this spot would take a bit of a victory lap when asked all the questions on, man, I had 4 franchises tell me I wasn't good enough, and look at where I'm sitting right now.
You're right, because the guy who he replaced took one Monday Night Football performance to tell everybody they wrote me off and I didn't write them back.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you're right, but I don't know, maybe it's coming.
I wish he was a little bit more engaging on the subject, because it's a tremendous story. Against my best judgment, I talked football with my dad for 10 minutes, and he told me about how this the Super Bowl doesn't have any storylines, and my dad is a very casual observer of sports.
How bad did he wish Mendoza's playing this game?
He wishes Mendoza. In fact, it took like 2 seconds for him to take the conversation to Mendoza.
He's like, you guys need me back in studio?
Yeah, that's another thing, too. He's like, did you get any feedback? I'm like, no. Nobody had anything to say? I'm like, no. And it's driving him crazy. Sure, like Dan didn't have anything. What were the fans saying? I'm like, I wasn't.
What would he be hoping Dan would say?
I don't know.
How great he was on the bongos, playing the bongos after every Indiana score that broke his son's heart.
Yeah.
So charming.
So I was talking to him about the Super Bowl, and I was trying to explain like some of the existing stories. And I was like, well, if you're really into this sport, there are some compelling storylines here. I think Drake May having this stage against this defense, I actually think he's going to kill it, because I think he's that kind of guy. I think he's like Josh Allen, and it doesn't matter how good your defense is. He's going to rise to the occasion. I'm a proud day one stock owner of Drake May stock.
You're not shook by the last 2 games he's had to play against great defenses?
Bad weather. Bad weather. And in the big-time moments, Drake May was there. The fumbles against Houston were bad, but I also saw the weather, and I attributed it to that. But I think it's a great opportunity for a new face of the league to ascend in Drake May. I don't think, even if Sam Darnold wins, I don't think he has that kind of juice, because he doesn't have the personality type behind it. But I explained to my dad, I'm like, this was actually a really high draft pick. He went to all these different teams. He was basically resigned to a life of a career backup, and now he's awesome. He's awesome. And he's like, but these aren't historic rivals. I'm like, believe it or not, they've played in like the last 10 years. They've built themselves back up. Like, they are model franchises.
They played in a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, an all-timer. And I found myself getting excited for this game. I told you, Zaz, I was going to watch this Super Bowl.
I asked him.
Yeah,
he committed.
I'm in. Wow. I think it's going to be a good game. Wow. And
another wow, a double wow from Roy.
And the public's hammering the Seahawks.
A third wow.
A change of heart, man.
Yeah, I like. I'm going to appreciate this transitional period where the league tries to find new stars, and I'm going to enjoy it because the sport has been run by like 4 faces since I've been alive, basically, and I'm excited to see where the NFL goes from here.
I wanted to ask you guys some questions about the alternate halftime show that is going up against Bad Bunny and the Puerto Rican genie who's going to make everybody move in a different language on Sunday. And I also wanted to take a moment before I start asking those questions about the alternate halftime show to point out what the President of the United States did today with Obama and Michelle Obama, and just how deplorable and racist this is as a distraction tactic. And I wanted and want to make sure that our audience understands that because you have been choosing us as an escape option, and because you have been complaining for a long time about having this particular thing polluted by the daily realities that are heartbreaking and awful and don't feel very American to anybody who cares about America's or what's supposed to be America's ideals and principles, I have largely sat out over the last couple of exhausting years the daily ability to go after an assortment of awful things that range from pedophilia to state militia killing people in the streets in an America that I do not recognize, okay? And I have largely sat it out, probably still too much for most of you, and in sitting it out, I've got to tell you that silence inside of my skin has made me want to scream. But I have done it because I've heard you. You spoke, and you spoke clearly about this place needs to be a sanctuary, at least a little bit, from all of the other headaches that we have that don't even have to do with our bills, that is daily kind of exhausting and daily kind of depressing. But the cheap way that the President of the United States just went full racist today, not that we didn't know. I mean, I've been wondering, where the hell are the Proud Boys? Where'd they go? Are they in ICE? Like, where are they?
Yes.
Yeah,
actually, there was a report on that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where'd they go? Like, the racism is more and more overt over the last few years. The platform seems to be obvious on, we want to make this like Russia. We want to make this just white people. We want to make sure that there's some sort of ethnic cleansing that doesn't look like that. But that's what we're moving toward with immigration and everything else. What he did today on Truth Social, though, as a distraction tactic, just like he went with misogyny, he's being asked about pedophilia by a woman and he's telling her to smile more. Like, the tactics being used are so grotesque. He's using an axe where a scalpel will do. He's using a butchering of subtlety that is not merely offensive, but is deplorable as a distraction technique from all of the other things that he's doing that are dangerous to human lives and dangerous to democracy and dangerous to freedom. I don't know if you guys are just getting a daily kind of exhausted. I don't know how you guys feel about the silence around here that is more than there used to be, although it's not totally silent. I know many of you still have many complaints whenever I do just this, but you know that I've said before to you guys that I'm not a person of political depth. My platforms are decency, equality, and I talk about race a lot. I do talk about race a lot, and now those things are synonyms, race and politics. But what he did today, like, it's not even cleverly done. It's not disguised in a way that it's just there to be offensive.
Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary, defended this. She said that this is from an internet meme video depicting President Trump as the king of the jungle, and Democrats as characters from The Lion King. So please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public. That is bullshit.
Yeah, I would love to report on something that actually matters.
I think that was bullshit.
That was
editorial by me.
That was editorial. You got to say end quote and then that is bullshit.
End quote, that is bullshit.
Let's try to report on what is actually affecting the American people right now. The fact that this administration has been actively participating in a cover-up protecting billionaires that were very clearly in a child human trafficking ring, and we still have names redacted. The president is named in those files more than Harry Potter is named in the series of Harry Potter books.
Well, it's like 38,000 times or 44,000 times.
Markets crashing everywhere. You're even losing the crypto bros. Nothing is going right. You have a bunch of stuff that people didn't vote for, and they're trying to talk themselves into. You have Americans that are innocently protesting on the street getting gunned down. The world doomsday clock is inching closer to midnight. We have ushered in a whole new world order. I would love to report on those other things. But instead, you go to Truth Social and you post something that in any other time in our country, in any other democratic developed country, would end a political career. It would end it. This is racist. Depicting the Obamas as primates is racism. It's an internet meme? Okay. It's a racist internet meme. That's your excuse? This is, beyond troubling. And I think the thing that should trouble us the most is the fact that Steve Bannon, who's also named in the Epstein files and had the courtesy to try to reshape Jeffrey Epstein's image with a weird sit-down, is already saying we need to have ICE at these polling stations. ICE, forget what you think their job is. Their job is to scare you because they're going to be in swing state polling stations, and they're going to try to dissuade an American public that I think now has a surprising vast majority of people saying, I didn't ask for any of this shit.
I want to play some sound here of Luke Thomas. I really like him as an MMA reporter. There are a handful of people in MMA who are trying to apply some journalistic standards, and I'm going to tie it into what it is that we're talking about here in a second, because he's talking about Pat McAfee, but I can apply some of this criticism to Joe Rogan, because I find Joe Rogan to be a little bit unrecognizable at the moment, and the reason I find it a little unrecognizable is because he's clearly gotten in bed with so much power that he's now corrupted and contaminated. That's not what he used to be, but he's got so many relationships near power, and the job to apply his job to a broad, vast audience of people has some sacrifices in it now when it comes to both ICE and the Epstein files, where what Joe Rogan is saying makes him the sort of opposite of what he's always been, where he's not questioning power, he's become power, and he's aligned with power. And as I said before, if you're reading the Epstein files, any part of it, it's not enough for these rich people to screw everyone else and have everything. Now they have to also screw children. Like, that's unbelievable where we've arrived as a country, that this particular scandal, the way to distract from it is to post racist memes in order to get people to talk about something else and have our government officials tell us that it's fake outrage. But listen to Luke Thomas here on Pat McAfee.
Real journalists, which I'm not saying I am, but I'm saying like people who actually do it, where they have a distant relationship from the league that they cover or the team that they cover, and they do it according to, proven standards and practices that are important for journalism as such. This is a novel concept to him because he doesn't understand the value of that. The value of doing that is not audience generation. He doesn't understand the first thing about the value of what journalism is, what the sacrifice goes into, and why it's not fundamentally about just being on camera. And I realize that sports journalists have blurred the lines. Oh my God, they've blurred the lines. Dude, this guy, let's talk about Pat McAfee for a second. This guy had Nick Khan on his show, and I honestly thought he might fillet him. He did no job whatsoever at fact checking. And then he wants to parade like the town rooster, like he's doing something impressive. That's not impressive. That's the lamest, saddest, most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. In fact, on the Pat McAfee show, they had a graphic in the background about all the wonderful things that changing the Ali Act would do. Dude, he's a stooge for people that want to control sports. If I had a job like that, and that was my role in the industry, I'd shut the up about people who have a completely different focus, which is the practice of journalism.
This, by the way, is the Washington Post lets go of a third of its reporters. And the guy who killed the sports department, Will Lewis, is photographed on the NFL red carpet last night, or a couple of nights ago. I guess it would have been last night during their awards ceremony, because the Washington Post can no longer hold truth to power on these things because Jeff Bezos has come in and said, what do I want newspapers for? Why would I want anybody watching me? Why would I want anyone reporting fairly on? Like, this is something that's also true of Dana White. What use would they possibly have for journalism? Why would they want journalism speaking truth to power? The reason that Dana White has his problems with Helwani is because Ariel Helwani is always someone who's an inconvenience to him, reporting things. He just wants propaganda arms. And rich people, the way we're moving right now, rich people are going to get all their propaganda arms. They're going to be able to buy all the pieces. I mean, Elon Musk already did. They already have, in many ways, buy all the pieces, end all the pieces that can ever question them on anything so that they continue to work in the shadows. But what the president of the United States did with the Obamas, like, everyone does realize that that's purposely to get you talking about something else, right?
I don't even know how intentional it is, because I don't know what kind of frame of mind this guy is, because every time I wake up, there's some new batshit crazy thing going on. Honestly, a better excuse would be he's lost his mind. Clearly, he didn't mean it. I would have bought that more than it's an internet meme. What? Look, I promise you this show, for the most part, will be a distraction. I, like Dan, feel conflicted about it. This is bad. No one is benefiting from these policies, especially no one that's listening to this, because you're not in that tax bracket. Let's keep this energy during the midterms, because they are going to do everything to dissuade people from actually voting in a free and fair election, because these policies are so bad for Americans that they are going to try to scare you and keep you dumb.
Super Bowl week, everybody. Let's get to something else here that I wanted to talk about, because I was amused by it this morning. You guys have been fascinated by my fascination with the poor morning show for ESPN getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning in order to get ready.
My friends.
For a 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, Evan Cohen's not really your friend. You tried to take his job.
He's my friend.
And I wouldn't blame him. You tried to take Evan Cohen's sideline job at the Boca Bowl.
Sometimes your friends have things you want.
Evan Cohen is getting up at whatever time it is that he has to get up in order to start a 3 o'clock show. And I've noticed that Chris Canty, the former football player, is saying, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. Bristol time. I'm going to stay in Bristol. I'm not actually going to go out to the Super Bowl at all. You guys go to the Super Bowl and you get up at 3 a.m. and I'll do the show at 6 a.m. But the reason that I wanted to put Chris Canty on the screen, because I noticed this today, my God, did he spend a lot of time talking with his right hand in front of his face, because he's got a Super Bowl finger on a Super Bowl ring on his middle finger. And he spent a lot of time just putting his hand on his chin, putting his hand in front of his face, making sure that every point that he was making, literally every point that he was making, had Super Bowl bling on it with a ring on his middle finger. That's absolutely something he's doing on purpose, correct?
Yeah, it's Super Bowl week, Dan. He's got to let you know. He's been there, all right? He's got one of them rings. Where's it on the middle finger, huh? I wear my championship ring on the ring finger. That's probably why it's called ring finger. But
so you go on each hand?
No, I don't wear two at a time. What am I, an asshole? No, I wear one, and I wear it on my ring finger.
Nice hat.
I think it's because it's big and clunky, right? And I guess
they clang next to one another.
The middle finger, you have more room in there. Isn't that the reasoning for why it is you would do that?
You'd have to ask him.
I guess we would.
Why? He's got his wedding band on his ring finger.
Do I dare ask what Jeremy is doing wearing a sheet over his head? Or is that Jeremy, or are we still pretending that that the ghost of Dick Hammer is around here? Okay, we're okay. That is okay. I didn't even realize what he was doing because I had.
I'm just trying to get you to Super Bowl talk, if I'm being honest.
I hadn't seen the hammer. I was saying, so that's what you did. So you heard what I was talking about. You couldn't find the Magic Crate music, so you just threw a ghost in here. A ghost. Okay. You got a hammer.
He's having a hard time staying on camera.
He's got a picture of Richard Nixon in one hand, Tricky Dick, and he's got a hammer in the other. I hadn't seen the hammer, so now I understand the ghost of Dick Hammer is here. For those of you who do not know, even though Mike's dad thinks there are no storylines in the Super Bowl, Sam Darnold's grandfather was the original Marlboro Man, Dick Hammer.
He would have enjoyed that tidbit. You text him.
What's going on with you and your dad?
Isn't it obvious?
How mad did your dad make you by coming in here and just delighting? He was delighted to be here. We were all delighted to have him, but he spent the entire night with Damashek during our live stream of UM Miami, enjoying that Indiana was winning the game throughout.
Yeah, that's horrible. You can't pick your family.
Here we go. Are you mad at him? Have you had some?
No, he's really great to my daughter.
That's not an answer to my question.
Did you watch back his performance?
No. Thank you. That was a genuine laugh.
Are you
watch that back?
Are you mad at him?
Are you crazy?
Answer my question.
No. You answer my question.
The 3-hour live stream.
Are you crazy?
I'm not crazy.
Are you crazy?
No, I'm not crazy.
Then you're stupid.
Why would he want to watch any of that back? He'd watch it back if they'd won. He's not going to watch it back when they lose.
No, but just to critique your father's performance. He seems to want some,
There's
tips.
no shortage of me critiquing my father's performance throughout life. Hop in on a FaceTime one time. He's my dad, I'm his son, and that's where the similarities pretty much end. Although we both like movies and wrestling. And the Bee Gees.
Are you mad at him?
Am I mad at my dad?
For
all
doing
the
that.
time.
I'm saying for coming in here, doing the live stream, wearing an Indiana shirt, rooting for Fernando Mendoza,
Yeah, that's a cartoonish type of evil. Yeah, it's not great. I wasn't a fan of it, but you know what? I guess I deserve it because I'm kind of disrespectful to him. I would hate for my child to speak about me this way. So I guess, yeah, bongo away, Dad. I know you wish Mendoza was yours.
The reason that I would imagine you are mad at him is because I don't want to get too deep into the psychology of this.
Mike's giving you stuff.
But the fact...
At your deepest, darkest moments.
The fact that he doesn't understand you enough.
Ask about his mom. Good stuff there.
The fact that he doesn't understand you enough to know how much you care about the University of Miami program, and that he was actively rooting for something that you're not actually dispassionate about. You don't have the casual perspective about this. The lack of understanding in him being like, man, this is kind of something to do to my son that will break his heart if they lose the most important game they've ever played in his lifetime, and I'm going to be in the background getting attention for playing the bongos every time the Cuban quarterback of the Indiana Hoosiers scores. It makes it so that it's symbolic that he doesn't understand his son.
I'd much rather talk politics. I'm way more in my zone there.
All right, let's talk tennis then, since you sent me from Instagram since you sent me from Instagram, I should have give me an inner monologue in here so that I can do Mike's inner monologue while it is he's doing that, to see how uncomfortable he is, so you can see how it feels when we're near your vulnerabilities. Let's get the Djokovic sound that Mike sent me, where, now keep in mind, Djokovic has won more Grand Slams than anybody ever. It's not Serena, it's not Federer, it's not anybody ever. He's won more than anyone ever. So when they talk to him about beating Sinner, and the journalist asks a question that has him chasing others, you get full-on bared teeth, I'm a champion ego in your face, arms crossed, do you not know who I am?
I'm chasing Yannick and Carlos? In which sense? In terms of winning Grand Slam titles just right now?
So I'm always the chaser, and I'm never being chased.
In the meantime, you won 24 Grand Slams. But I'm saying it's...
Thanks. It's worth saying that sometimes, right?
Sorry, I should have...
Yeah. No worries. I find it a little bit disrespectful that you kind of miss out on what happened in between, where the times when I started chasing, as you say, Rafa and Roger, and now that I'm chasing Carlos and Yannick, and there's probably about 15-year period in between where I was dominating the Grand Slam. I don't feel like I'm chasing, to be honest. I have tremendous respect for what Yannick and Carlos are doing, and they continue to do, and they will do for the next 10 to 15, 20 years. God knows how many years they're going to play. They're so young. And this is a kind of a natural cycle in sports. You know, you're going to have another two superstars that are going to maybe have another third guy, that I'm going to cheer for because I've always been the third guy at the beginning.
That's a bar to say the 15 years or so that I was dominating Grand Slams.
What needled him initially was like, really, I'm chasing Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. I of 24 Grand Slams am chasing others? No, my friend. And not even respectfully. They're chasing me.
So why does the reporter frame it that way?
Dude, like, I don't. Maybe there was a language barrier there, too. It sounds like, I heard some accents there. Maybe something
at the moment, though, he is behind them. When we're all watching, we know that he's not the best player in the sport. The best he can aspire to is to be the third best player in the sport, just because of his age, not because of his resume.
Right. I guess if we're talking about it, I would not frame it that way to Novak Djokovic. I would not say, hey, you're chasing these guys. I think I would have the perspective that Novak had there. But, I mean, if you look at the tournament, he's obviously older, and he had really good self-awareness and perspective on this is the natural life cycle of athleticism and professional sports. Like, I am not the guy that I was for 15 years. Let me remind you exactly who I am. For 15 years, I was taking out the very top that we've ever seen. These guys still have to chase me there. But, yeah, I'm sure that guy shrank into his seat, Dan, because that – and he went on. It was like really, we cut it down. It was like 2.5 minutes. It was one of the best answers I've ever seen on any post-game press conference ever.
Yeah, you went and attacked with, if it's not disrespect, a lack of understanding of history of who it is you're talking to there. You can't disrespect 15 years at the top of that sport. Like, you can't diminish 15 years at the top.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would ever go. It's like going up to Michael Jordan and telling him, hey, you're chasing Kobe. The hell? No.
I wandered away because...
Dan, we do have breaking news here on the show. I can announce that there is no longer any reason to check Ryan Russillo's Instagram story.
It's been deleted.
Oh, damn it. Damn. I wish he would have just owned it and kept it up. Maybe there was like some kind of IG guidelines, community bylaws that I did picture in my head a scenario in which Caroline Levitt busts into the Oval Office with a bunch of papers like, I think we're good. Check out Russillo's IG story.
I mean, he works at Barstool. Why do you have to take that?
Oh, this is great for his brand over there. It's awesome. Go for it.
It's a good brand.
The alternative halftime show. The alternative halftime show is what kind of details? Who's performing?
Kid Rock.
And two others. I got to tell you, this is the last time Lee Brice hurts me. I was a big Lee Brice guy.
So they don't. Is this just because the halftime show is going to be in Spanish? Is this the reaction?
I got a quote from Kid Rock if you'd like.
Yes, Dan.
He said he's having a dance party wearing a dress and singing in Spanish. We plan to play great songs for folks who love America. Probably songs like the one he released back in 2001 where the lyrics are, young ladies, I like them underage. Some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory.
That's America.
Makes sense that he'd be doing a halftime show for the president.
They're really hung up on this dress thing as if it's
not a real thing.
Something that Bad Bunny does all the time.
But also, like, if he did, who cares?
Where is it? Where is the alternate halftime show?
Oh, it's being brought to you by Turning Point USA, Dan.
Yeah, but it's where he's asking where it's broadcasting from, and it's
in hell.
Right here, the seventh ring of hell. That's right, Roy.
Did they buy time?
You're read up.
Dan, you started off, if you're a driver, you drove a yellow cab and you were loyal to the yellow cab. You know what? But the game has changed to Uber, to Lyft, to private driving. And you know what? You have to ditch the yellow cab and you have to drive an Uber. Why? Because you'll make more money. Why? Because more people are taking Uber than the dirty yellow cabs. That's why. That's what you do. No one cares about journalism. You know what they care about? Laughing, being entertained. And you do a great job of that. And Stephen A. Smith does a great job of that. No one cares about journalism. People care about smiling. That's it.
This morning I found myself while I was driving Claire to school. I told her, you ask a lot of questions. You should be a journalist. And now here in this conversation, I just, don't be a journalist.
Exactly.
Do something else.
It's over.
Sad.
You're going to let Stugotz parent your daughter. You think that's a good idea?
You think journalism is a good occupation to choose now?
No, I would not. Listen, not only is it not a good occupation to choose, I have looked around Miami and realized we're the only ones providing the jobs we're presently providing. I heard local TV reporters are making $45,000 a year.
Huh.
I couldn't believe that's how bad local television is struggling, that's the place that has arrived. And I told Chris Cody not to get into this business at all because it's terrible.
But Stephen A. Smith is making more money than he's ever made in his entire life. He has more power. He has more of everything than he's ever had in his entire life. You want him to give that up because of journalism? Get out of here.
I believe you can do both. You're being very
How?
Absolute about this. First of all, he does. He does reporting, does journalism. He is very credible. When he gives information, it's not like Skip Bayless giving information. There is a difference. Skip Bayless also allegedly a journalist, but he's been contaminated by this thing and distorted by it in ways that are even more poisonous because he doesn't do any reporting anymore. He doesn't talk to people in a way that's informed. Stephen A. actually goes to things, has relationships, and certainly when he's talking about basketball, if Stephen A. gives you information that's not opinion, you trust that it's informed.
No doubt, but every time he does that show, Dan, every single episode, his journalistic integrity, it shreds away. Little by little, piece by piece, it just does. He is doing a debate show debating the most ridiculous topics in the history of sports. It has to affect your credibility.
Stugotz, it has happened.
And you sitting next to me does not help. I mean.
or my dad or Cody, because I said to myself, generations of Codys, because I did say to myself, this is one of the things I find funny about Stephen A. and thinking that he and I do the same thing, because once I got to PTI and it was argument television, I said I'd like to try to do it differently, but I guess that sounds highfalutin. I don't want to do debate shows.
The knuckleball is dead.
The knuckleballer is dead now, correct? Completely dead. There's no one. Is there anyone throwing the knuckleball now?
Someone has to be throwing it.
I would say Tim Wakefield was pretty
None of us
bad.
have one. We're just yeah.
No, there has to be.
There's got to be. Well, wait a minute. The knuckleballer didn't go extinct without anyone telling us.
As long as there's breath in my lungs, there's a knuckleballer out there.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. As long as there is breath in your lungs, will there be a knuckleballer out there?
There should be more, because if you notice, I mean, I don't have any stats to back this, but I don't care. I'm going with it regardless. I would say that the position players that are pitching have a much better ERA than average pitchers do, because they're all just going out there throwing the ball.
Hi and hello, my fellow football Americans. It's your old pal Dave Damashek at Super Bowl 60 Media Night. Some people here are going to answer questions. Other people are going to ask questions. Which one am I? Let's find out. Do you think that Tom Brady wants to see you win a Super Bowl, becoming the second Patriots QB to win one?
That's a good question. I think it's something you have to ask him.
Do you think it's weird that the New England Patriots are named after the Revolutionary Soldiers who beat back the Brits? But now when the Patriots honor the best players they've ever had, what do they give them? A red coat. That's weird, isn't it? Does that make Seattle now America's team?
Yeah, I don't know the whole history behind, the Patriots, the red coats.
But that's weird, right? We beat the Brits, and they're wearing red coats. I think they're announcing something about themselves.
So you saying they represent the Brits?
I mean, that's what it says like they're telling us.
Oh. And you saying since we, we're Navy, we's America's team.
And the last team you were on proved fraudulent. They're not America's team. Is it the Seahawks now?
Well, that's something for America to answer. Let's start a poll.
We're getting the ball down the field. The clock's ticking down. I'm going to run out onto the field in a second here to try and win the Super Bowl. You haven't given time to thinking that one through?
If the moment happens, it happens. But, I'm just trying to keep it all the same.
If it does happen, now that we've had this conversation, will you think of me? First off, let's talk about the mustache. What went into it?
Yeah, I've never grown a mustache in my life. I really can't, as you can tell.
No, I can tell. I was going to say as much.
Got into the season, we lost. I shaved it. We won. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this a winning-losing thing. And Sam Darnold and the boys just decided to win a lot of football games in a row, and so that's why I still have it.
You would like to play in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, maybe let me hand it off a couple times.
Drew Lock says that he would like to take a few snaps in the Super Bowl. Can you make that happen despite the fact that the guy can't even grow a decent mustache?
Oh, man, that's your opinion. I think his mustache looks great.
Coach, given the hirsute quality of your starting quarterback, and never mind your backup.
The what quality of him?
The hirsute, the beard, that red beard that he wears, hairy.
All right.
If you throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl, will you do this? Like twist your mustache, like ha 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 ha?
Probably not. I don't know if I can really reach through the helmet too easy.
Stefan, have you seen a picture of yourself getting off the plane the other day?
Yeah.
Man, you look crazy.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could pull that look off.
Yeah, it was like some archive Chanel, some old Jacques Mousse boots, like some stuff that you're probably not even interested in.
No, I'm interested. I just couldn't pull it off.
It's all guys. Let you hold the next outfit.
Is this a must-win game?
A must-win? Yeah, I think every time we go out, there's a must-win game.
Is this a must-win game?
Is every game a must-win game?
Yeah, every game is a must-win game.
It's a must-win game? I think you could just ask that yourself and see what you want me to say to that.
Dave, is this a must-win game? I think it is. It's the Super Bowl.
There we go.
What does Drake think?
There we go. Exact same thing you just said.
We did it! Ask questions. You just saw me do that. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Damashek out.
That was excellent. I really enjoyed that the first time. I enjoyed it just as much as the second time. Mike, what was your favorite part of that? There's a degree of difficulty. Not many people actually make good stuff from Media Day, even though plenty of people are there trying to make funny stuff. You were delighted. I rarely hear Mike roar with laughter at anything, and it's just because Yammercheck is being Yammercheck, correct?
But that's weird.
But that's weird, right?
You look crazy.
What were your thoughts there as you did that? How did you feel about your work, and how have you enjoyed Super Bowl week out there?
Couldn't be prouder, Dan. Couldn't be prouder of what my life's added up to, taking me to this point. Listen, it's a must-win game. That's what I'm here to report.
How many times have you done that in a row? How many years in a row have you gone to the Super Bowl and asked people if it were a must-win game? Is it more than a decade now?
Oh, I didn't do it the last couple of years, but yeah, I've done it off and on. I bet you I've done that at least about 10 times now. And I always get pangs of, days before. Boy, is this pretty hacky, just doing the same bit, just asking them if it's a must-win game. And I can rationalize that it's okay because the responders stay fresh. They keep it fresh. And it really also hinges on some third-party, self-serious person nearby hearing it and then reporting it out to the world. Some idiot just asked if this is a must-win game. Media night sucks. And then once it gets out into the world, that's when I become delighted.
But that's weird, right?
How much did Jason Myers hate you, Dave? Jason Myers did not seem impressed.
He didn't, but I think we can all agree that he is going to think about me if he has to run out there for the game-winning kick. I also thought about asking, because people are underwhelmed, if you haven't heard, by this Super Bowl matchup, and that's what we've talked about. parity equals mediocrity, and now nobody knows who these teams are really because we don't have dynasties, I guess, and so people are underwhelmed. I think it would have been funny, but I thought too rude to ask the Patriots, can they name 5 members of the Seahawks, and the Seahawks if they could name 5 members of the Patriots.
No, you should have done that. That would have been great. Actually,
I bet they wouldn't have, right? There's no way that the Seahawks could name 5 guys on the Patriots.
I would have liked to see them, stammer and try and figure out the answer to your question and not being able to do it by numbers, which is how some of these guys do film work. But help answer a couple of questions for us from earlier in the show. We're waiting for Michael Wilbon here. He'll be here shortly to talk about what's going on at the Washington Post. But we were talking before about defensive metrics and the advanced metrics in sports. Football America does a very good job Mondays and Fridays of tackling history, tackling analysis, tackling funny. I don't know if you feel like you can accurately answer this question, but how do you answer the question of, is Seattle's defense actually better than Denver and Houston's, even though according to DVOA, it is?
To my eye, that's what I mean. Listen, we've talked about it. I rely more on what my heart, my gut tell me than what those numbers say, Dan. But yeah, I think the Texans had a vibe of being more overwhelming in the second half of the season in terms of just, if they get ahead of you, they're going to unleash the hounds and your QB's going to struggle. I think it's a negligible difference, at least between the Texans and the Seahawks, and I don't feel like the Broncos are as good, but, what have you done for me lately, and what did we just last see? And I'm surprised there hasn't been more conversation about the performance that the Seahawks most recently put out there. I mean, the Rams are great, and a lot of people, including you, Dan, very clearly, Dan really liked those Rams, even more than I did, and a lot of other people did. The Rams were real good, but I mean, think about it. The Seahawks, that's an all-time dominant defense, what we just saw in Seattle. It's, if you measure it based on that, it's not, last scene wasn't that great.
I remember the Tampa game against Seattle in Seattle where Baker was better than Sam Darnold somehow, and I'm holding it against the Seahawks.
How great were those uniforms, Dave? One of the greatest games of all time.
We talked about it already, and I don't want to get bogged down with it. But I'm plumb sick in my balls about the fact that we have to look at the mess that we're going to look at. But we already went over this, and what's done is done.
You're what?
But that's weird, right?
You're plumb sick in your balls?
That's right.
What do you mean that's right? I don't even know. That's wrong. It's not right. It's wrong.
Not a good feeling. I'm just trying to be.
But I don't even know what that feeling is. What does it mean to be plumb
sick in my balls? You ever get punched? Down below. Everybody just gives you a good grazing, and you feel that what the feel. Not a punch, in fact. If you get a grazing down there, that feeling, you get kind of nauseated. That's what I mean. I'm at that spiritually. My TV's going to go on, and I'm going to be feeling sick in my balls because I'm going to be looking at whatever mess the Patriots getup is supposed to be instead of the glorious Pat Patriots against the royal blue and the silver of the Seahawks OG getups. Oh yes, you don't care, Dan, but Mike and I know.
It's not that I don't care. I'm just stuck on plumb sick in the balls. Like what is plumb sick? I don't even know what that expression means.
I'm plumb over the moon, that kind of thing. It's like quite as a colloquialism. It's like I'm quite sure, I'm plumb sick in my balls.
Now you get it.
But that's weird, right? Thank you, Zaz. And I'm sorry about the Florida Panthers. Let's go, Pens. Pens doing real well.
On Dominique's live show last night, Marcus Spears came out and said, the notion that this is supposed to be some cakewalk for Seattle has really made me sick. Not
in his balls, though, huh?
The people are betting Seattle. -4.5. The people.
Can you believe this, Dan? I mean, for real, that is, I bounced off of many dozens of people in San Francisco, which, as a reminder, this is a Super Bowl 49 rematch in the home of the 49ers, which is the San Francisco 49ers, which is nowhere near San Francisco. It's very confusing. I know you guys were talking about the San Jose and San Francisco thing, but anyway, of the dozens of people that I bounced off of, mostly informed people, I don't get any sort of positivity around the Patriots' chances in this game. It's really weird. It's not like it's the number's 9.5. It's 4.5. And everybody is on the Seahawks, but right? That's weird, right? Yes, it is weird. It is very strange to me that that's the case. And of course, we've gone round and round about obviously postseason QB wins, and Sam Darnold has now washed off the previous stink by winning a big-time postseason game, but he's still Sam Darnold. And that's, to me, the Patriots' chance, is that he could conceivably do what Sam Darnold sometimes does, which is throw 3 picks, and that can certainly swing the game. So yeah, I mean, that the thing I don't think is going to happen though is, and I think a lot of people are depending on this if you're trying to talk yourself into New England, is boy Drake May, he consistently makes plays with his legs. I think that's the thing that the Seahawks are going to be intent on taking away, because if they do, I really don't see where the Patriots are equipped to keep up against that Seahawks defense.
I
they
think
don't have the playmakers.
The argument on behalf of the Patriots is that yes, Drake May can run better than anyone other than Josh Allen at the position. He is exceptional against the blitz. Deep ball is better than any deep ball in the league. But I also think an argument to be made on behalf of the Patriots is they've lost 3 times this season, all by 1 score. Like, that team could be undefeated. And I don't think if it were undefeated, a whole lot of people would be questioning them in this Super Bowl.
I mean, listen, the overstatement of again, people talking themselves into something, into this alleged truth, is that the Patriots are a ham and egg team because the competition they played, there was no Virginia Tech out there for them. These were pro football teams that they were beating after all. And I don't like, as we discussed the last time too, the thing that you immediately look at, hyper focus on, is JSN really makes that Seahawks offense go. And the Patriots have Christian Gonzalez, who you would think has a real good chance of slowing him down, quieting him a little bit. And then you think, what are the Seahawks going to do? The answer to me is Kenneth Walker. Look at what Kenneth Walker's done the last 6 weeks or so. He's been pretty undeniable as a pass catcher as well as running the ball. I think that's the difference in the game. I think Kenneth Walker ends up being your Super Bowl 60 MVP. But the bet that is most fun to make, not that you asked, is the safety bet. It's my favorite bet to make in a Super Bowl. It's the Yo 11 of pro football. You just sit there for 60 minutes and root for the ball to go into the end zone, or go through the end zone, or for a 300-pound man to
again
fall
with the recycled turds from Football America. Damashek, I need you to stop recycling.
That's not a recycled. That's me trying to counsel the general public, your audience, Dan. I'm trying to help them out to enjoy it a little bit more. You know what would make it a little bit better? 11-1 odds when it comes through. That's what's going to be nice.
You can't recycle these turds from Football America. Keep those over there, and they won't become refreshed turds.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm being attacked in front of a legend. Like I see Michael Wilbon is waiting in the wings.
Get out of here, damn it!
And this is what I get. I want to talk about the Pro Bowl and how it stinks, and I want to tell you about the. Oh, hey, by the way, congratulations to everybody who's anti-woke. They're going to stick it to
Wilbon flee the premises.
They're not going to Kid Rock
with your yammering. Your
I'll get great news.
Hey,
take this, wokesters. I'm going to go listen to Kid Rock on purpose. Ha ha! I win again.
Get him out of here. Football America, Monday and Fridays. I'm telling you, it's excellent. He's weird,
I'm
right?
sick.
He's weird, right? He's weird, right?
You look crazy.
But that's weird, right?
He's weird, right? Get him out of here. Enough. Let's get a real talker and a real broadcaster in here. Michael Wilbon, pardon the interruption. And most famously, I think, the Washington Post, and good God, was I heartbroken to see everything that just happened at the Washington Post. And we welcome in Wilbon here because for many years he and Kornheiser helped carry what has always been one of the greatest sports sections there has ever been. Now, I don't know, Michael, how much you've been watching what Will Lewis, the guy who dismantled this sports department, was doing, walking the NFL red carpet. But how are you feeling? And thank you for making the time for us here during a busy time. How are you feeling about everything that's going on at the Washington Post?
Devastated, Dan. I mean, no, I'm not paying any attention to Will Lewis. I'm not paying any attention to any of the Washington Post execs and what they could be doing. I don't know them. I've never met them. I had little regard for them anyway, long before any of this. And I, to be honest with you, I haven't joined any chat groups and, text threads. It's disgusting. It's disheartening. It's as bad a feeling professionally as I've had in my life to know that the Washington Post sports section is gone essentially, and the newspaper is just not going to be what it was. I walked in the door there as an intern at 20 years old, and I left at 51. I worked the first 31 years of my adult life at the Washington Post, proudly, arrogantly, enthusiastically. It's responsible for everything I have. So I'm pissed off.
Who are you pissed off at?
The world. I understand that there are conditions. Things go away. Things go away. Bigger than the Washington Post. When my dad was in the prime of his life, and even, prime of his life for sure, the three sports that mattered, the only three sports that mattered were boxing, baseball, and horse racing. Well, boxing is gone the way we knew it, right? I mean, don't tell me MMA. Boxing's gone. It doesn't exist in any form that resembles what obsessed America in the context of sports for 100 years, from the 1880s to the 1980s. Horse racing doesn't exist in any form that he knew. And baseball is a place now where they trot out, a bullpen day in the World Series. People would stop at windows in big cities at department stores to watch the World Series if they didn't have TV yet. And so there are major institutions that go away, and there's nothing you can do about it. Times change, interests change, fascinations change, the way we consume things, it changes. And so am I mad at that? Yeah, that doesn't mean I don't understand it. But then mad at the people, the executives you started mentioning, who could have done some things to stave this off, but didn't really care to, or didn't understand how to, or weren't smart enough to. Either way, I'm pissed at them. It's you're howling at the moon. And this might have come anyway. It seems like it was coming anyway. The Washington Post isn't the only newspaper that's, taken at least to 8 count. So I get it, but it doesn't mean I'm not angry about it.
You called Bezos a lightweight, right?
At least. I could have been worse. He's a lightweight. What he did with Kamala Harris's, the endorsement in the newspaper, what he did with, the wonderful slogan, democracy dies in darkness. He's just a lightweight at best. He's just another afraid dude. Man, I can't even imagine having that money and being afraid of a constituency or a dude in the White House, or so beholden to just being what he is, which is a delivery man. He's great at it, the best ever. But just to be scared, just lightweight, just a cream puff.
What do you do?
If I saw him, I wouldn't shake his hand. Never met him, I wouldn't shake his hand.
What do you do with the idea that Mike Ryan espoused on the show yesterday? Hey, these things have to make money. And I know you and I lived during a glorious time where the money was separated from the editorial. But in today's America and in capitalism, is Bezos supposed to just keep taking $100 million loss every year?
Not necessarily, but there are ways to handle things, Danny. I'm not saying I don't understand. But there are ways to handle things. And we can, I'll compare it to sports. You hear all the time, you and I hear all the time from athletes we know, and they get traded or cut, released, whatever, that they heard it on sports talk radio. They heard of the Warriors decided to bring Draymond Green in and talk to him and say, hey, here's what could happen. Bezos, so you mean Bezos and none of his agents, his lightweight agents, can talk to a staff that they employ? I'm not saying I don't understand, and it might have to go away. It didn't have to go away like this, where people are on assignment at the Winter Olympics and don't even know if they'll be kept there or brought home. There's just lightweight, classless, gutless stuff that happens in every industry, and you hope it doesn't happen in yours. And this is happening not just in my industry, but to a place I called home for 30 years.
Well, there are wartime journalists being let go in other countries. Never mind that they're not sending reporters to the national spring training or some of or
exactly.
They
so we were just talking about the context of sports, but yes, I know our correspondents for decades. Yes. It's far more egregious than anything in sports. You asked me about my experience and what I'm focused in on and listening to and paying attention to, and it's my little corner of the world, former corner of the world first. But yes, the whole newspaper, the Washington Post sits on my desk every day in my home. I don't just consume it digitally. I pay to receive it. The newspaper. Like it's 1960. I grew up delivering newspapers when I was a kid in Chicago, 2 of them. They're going to die too, probably. But I get the Washington Post here at my home. So I'm aware of everything that goes on in it, not just the sports section. But all of it, the way it was handled makes me angry. And I would tell anybody that to their face.
How dare you say boxing is dead when just recently we were given this moment in boxing, and you're out here blaspheming against boxing no longer being as relevant as it was, as this guy gets his toupee knocked off in the middle of the ring in a heavyweight fight that matters. He loses his hair. How dare you say boxing is dead?
These two dudes, that's a lie, because these two dudes ain't in any heavyweight fight that matters.
Your corner of the world here, when you speak of sports, your greatest passion is and always has been basketball.
Not necessarily. I'm seasonal. I'm a seasonal dude. I mean, I have been more prominent in your face the last 15 years doing basketball. But before that, I did football. Before that, I did college basketball. Before that, there are times of tennis and golf. That's one of the things about the Washington Post. One of the things ESPN destroyed, and yes, I'm blaming ESPN for making everybody a specialist. By the way, you see behind me, behind my left ear, is a picture of Joe Louis raising Muhammad Ali's hand. That was boxing. But I interrupt. I'm sorry. What were you going to say about my
I don't know.
favorite?
You had ESPN destroying something. That's catnip for me.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is that you had them destroying with your special.
Well, people being generalists. There are no generalists anymore. They're just specific shows, specific things where people host or report on specific things, not everything. You and I reported on we did everything. When college basketball season was over, I went to baseball. When baseball was over, I went to football. When football was not over, but kind of over, I went to basketball because it was basically over in December then.
But my question on basketball was going to be, as someone who clearly you love basketball, your son Matthew, you've taught him to love basketball.
Yes.
The sport today, in its evolved form, where players are getting hurt all over the place, they're playing a different style, 53s a game, everything that's happening in the sport. Do you love it the same way that you did?
I hate it. I hate it this week more than ever. I wanted to come and sit down and watch a real game between Oklahoma City and San Antonio the other night, and then I find out half the people aren't playing, which is the norm. It's the norm for half the people you paid to see, whether you paid to see in person or at home on one of the 9 streaming services, that makes it so you don't even know where the games are. You don't even know where they are. Is it on Prime? Is it on ESPN? Is it on NBC? Where the NBA TV? Where the hell's the game? I can't find it. I was with Charles Barkley one night in Arizona recently. We're having dinner, and we were like, hey, we got to go watch that game. And Charles and I both look at each other and go, where's the game? Where is it? 2 people who are employed to talk about basketball on national television don't know where the damn game is.
Yeah, but that's just old guys. That's just
No, it's not old guys. No, it isn't. It actually isn't. I asked my son about it. He's 17. He plays high school basketball. No, it isn't just old guys. It's funnier because it's old guys. You're right about that. But no, I don't know. I don't like what it's become. I don't like All-Star Weekend. Talk about lightweight and talk about the NBA's had years to address and fix the All-Star game, and apparently is afraid to. Who do they not want to cross? They don't want to cross LeBron. They don't want to cross. Who is it they don't want to offend? Steph? I doubt it's those 2 guys, because they're up for anything that promotes and sells and makes the product better. But who are they? Who's the league afraid to offend? You want to put a game out there of international players versus U.S., you'd have interest in that. The moment the Super Bowl's over, you'd have fascination with that. They're scared to do it. And they come up with 3 teams. It's just lazy. You know what it is. I know I'm not going to curse and say what I want to say. You know what it is. Starts with a B and an S. That's just that part of it. The product, there's so many great players playing, great young players, and I do like that. I love that the league is less old than it used to be, and it's always been a league where you had to play a long time to become great and be in a position with a band of people to challenge and contend. It's a little different now. And you got more teams now. I like that there are 8, 10 teams that look like they could really challenge, if not 8, 6 or 8, challenge for a championship. I love that. I love the international stars. So there are things about the game I love. Overall, the fact that you don't even know when you're going to see them is what pisses me off most. Load management, whether people are, I don't question injuries, Dan, in any sport, but damn, if we're told all the time, my son comes in and says, oh, Dad, athletes, the players now are bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, then how come their asses are hurt every night? The best in treatment, in medicine, in technology, in equipment. Dudes used to wear canvas shoes with no tape, and they played 82. And now guys have everything, and they can't play 60 games. And that, I don't like that. I hate that. And it may not be just the NBA, but the NBA seems to major in that right now.
Love you, buddy. Always good seeing your face. Always good talking to you. Thank you for making time for us.
Now you got me all riled up.
I did. Once you got to canvas shoes and no tape, I'm like, that guy is now in a hostile. He's in a hostile mood. I've sent him into the rest of his day filled with hostility.
Don't let me forget as I leave you, commercial flights. But they're all great. They're the greatest athletes on the planet. They may be, but they can't play more than 50 games. Come on now. The rest of us are all fools all the time because we consume it. We keep consuming it. Keep buying it. Keep watching it.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too. Be safe.
Yes.
He's right.
See you later. Of course he's right. Canvas shoes with no tape. They used to play 82 with canvas shoes and no tape.
I love him.
He's been the greatest for a long time. Always good when Michael Wilbon makes time for us. Let's do Against the Spread.
Against the Spread. Against the Spread is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Roy, what do we got?
Women's Olympic hockey tomorrow. The United States plays Finland. They are 5.5 goal favorites against Finland. They won 5-1 against Czechia yesterday. DraftKings has the United States winning gold at minus 150 and minus 10,000 the medal, while Finland is 35-1 to win gold, plus 200 to medal. That's the fourth best odds. And that's as of last night. And keep an eye on Layla Edwards. She's going to be a star. Go with the United States at 5.5. Wow, the favorites.
Mike.
That was a lot that he gave us there. I'm taking the Super Bowl. The line's going up, everybody. Keep an eye on this.
Right?
I'm going to watch this, and you can get it at 5 in some places. I like it at 5. So let's take the Patriots and Mike Vrabel against a public Seattle Seahawks team. I like Mike Vrabel in these spots. If you eliminate a bad Tennessee Titans team, one of the worst Tennessee Titans teams in franchise history, his record, ATS and straight up as a dog, is an all-time deal for gamblers everywhere. So I'm going to lean on the Pats.
So you like the bigger number?
I'm going to take the 5 with the Pats.
The Athletic wrote a story the other day in which they were quoting an assortment of anonymous players. Did you see this at all, Zaslow,
No.
about the halftime show? How do they feel about the halftime show? And an anonymous player said, I think they're going a little too far with all of these international acts. He's from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, buddy. They don't know that.
Yeah.
What position is that anonymous player?
Kicker.
Though? Is it a kicker? Because I thought offensive line.
Offensive line, for sure.
Yeah, guards. There was a study on like political leanings by position in the NFL. Further away you get from the ball, the more left of center they get. But there's actually not a lot of left of center dudes. Millionaires
In the NFL?
like the tax thing. Yeah, I found they're willing to overlook a lot.
Did you guys see this story also from The Athletic? It legitimately confused me, the New York Times and The Athletic, where because the Olympics have indeed started, there are skiers injecting themselves in the penis, enhancing their penises to fly further. And I think it was something called a hydraulic acid into their penises.
That's right.
Why?
I'm on this.
I don't understand how that would make you fly further in skiing. I'm at a bit of a loss as to how any of this would work in terms of physics, and it doesn't seem to be something to me that would be worth it if you get a small advantage but a large,
An average-sized advantage.
A large needle in the penis, in order to inject yourself. You can explain this to me, Jeremy?
So I read the story, and the explanation in the story was that they're doing so that they can increase the size of their uniforms because just an extra 2 square inches of fabric on the entire uniform being like loose can potentially give you over 5 feet of flight in carry.
It's a game of inches.
It is a game of inches, and apparently just gaining an extra inch or two could potentially change whether you medal or not.
Wait, why can't, I'm sorry, Mike, why can't they just wear the bigger, clothes?
They fit you for your uniform because it's supposed to be skin tight.
So you take that shot and it makes your junk bigger?
I guess, and seemingly temporarily.
Send me that link.
Hell yeah, brother.
There are all sorts of advantages that people will go and seek when they're competing against others in the margins for their advantages. I know a number of football players who wear smaller shoulder pads because they want to be more aerodynamic. I think people would be surprised at the lengths all athletes go to get the smallest of advantages. I think that, I mean.
I have a huge advantage.
Mine is also quite big.
Is this what we're doing now? You know what? I don't know what the penalty.
Well, he
would
said
be
his
for that.
was. And
but I don't.
Like if
need
I
that.
didn't say mine was, people might think that I have a smaller one.
Dan was insinuating small advantages. None of us have a small advantage. I don't
You have a big one, right?
Mine's not that big.
I'm not saying a word.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Personal foul. Personal and foul.
Everyone out.
Everyone.
You two
Show
out.
ends in 90 seconds.
That's fine. We'll delay the penalty until
Santino
Monday.
said Chris has one.
They'll okay. I don't want to
first
talk
30
about
seconds.
Out!
Out! So it's a minute 30.
Everybody out!
30 seconds on Monday.
Congrats
That's
on
right, because there are only
Congrats
90
on the
seconds
hammer.
left in the show.
Congrats on the hammer.
All of you, get your dick hammers out of here. All of you,
hands.
I don't
Can you
have
throw it
any
up?
use for any of you.
How short are we of a
Get
first
out of
down?
here. Get out of here. I'm on your dad's side on all matters. I side with your father on all things. Again with the dick hammer ghost sound, Roy. Again.
I didn't play it. That was Chris.
What do you mean? He was out of the room.
That's the last thing he did before he left.
What did you think of Wilbon, Az?
I enjoyed hearing from him.
You seemed a little bored. There was it was old man shaking his fist at the sky.
No, but I agree
takes.
with those. I agree with that. It is old man yelling at the cloud, but I agree with all of that. I'm totally with him on everything he said about the NBA.
You don't care about the journalism stuff the way that he and I do, right?
Well, I've never been a writer. I've never worked for a newspaper, so I don't care about it in that sense.
But it's not about writing. It's about protecting basic freedoms and having balance when it comes to power and injustice.
Yeah, no, that part I care about, absolutely. But, and you probably feel similar. Like, Wilbon's telling you it's life and death with him. I mean, that's like very serious.
That's a terrible way to end the show.